Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a mod review for the mod called Empires of Ruin. However, before this video begins, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as it helps out tremendously. I'm trying to hit 1K subscribers as soon as possible, and I know with your support we can definitely make that happen. Now let's take a look at Empires of Ruin. So Empires of Ruin is basically a mod inspired by Antebellum. However, it is not Antebellum, it's completely separate from it, but it is inspired by the Antebellum mod. Essentially, the lore behind it is that the Great Schism never took place. So as you can see, we have Chalcedonian as the branch. We don't have Catholicism. Byzantium and the Western empires are still Chalcedonian, like they were before the Great Schism happened between the West with the Pope and the East with the Byzantine. However, this mod, although it takes place in 1444, still is in the Dark Ages, you can see here, and there are unique splendor abilities, unique splendor ideas that come with the ages in this mod. So I guess the best way to describe it would be that the Dark Ages are still continuing on, I guess is the best way to describe it, and that the Great Schism never happened. So even though Europe has the technologies that it does in base game, Tech 3, Tech 4, we are still in the late Dark Ages, and we actually have the Age of Discovery after the late Dark Ages. So as you can see, one of the glaring aspects of this mod is that there is a fully intact, or somewhat fully intact, Byzantium, and they have a personal union member of Theodoro and Trebizond, which is quite nice. But most importantly, they still exist, and there are no Ottomans. There are the Sultanate of Rum. However, they have not attacked the Byzantines. There were actually a lot of things added to this mod. This is quite an in-depth mod. So the mod creator added new mechanics, new playable countries, new custom achievements, new religions, as we've already seen briefly, new institutions, new mission trees, new idea groups, new monuments, new national ideas for various nations, new technologies, new nation-specific government reforms, which is always nice to see, new cultures and culture groups, new provinces, new events and decisions, new buildings, new advisors, and like I just mentioned, you have extended the timeline all the way until 1920. Of the nations that have new mission trees, they are of course Byzantium, that we all know and love, England, East Francia, France, Africa, Denmark, Kiev, Croatia, Toulouse, Madrid, Polish miners, Bohemia, Georgia, and Tyrol. So as you can see, the mod creator has added a ton of new features, so let's go ahead and delve a little bit deeper into them. One of the coolest things that I think this mod added is, of course, the new ages and splendor abilities. So we have here the late Dark Ages instead of the Age of Discovery. We have better defense, we have develop the nation, we have production efficiency, we have expand the realm, we have technological revitalization, we have great rulers, we have stable nation, and these unique ones for certain nations. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show everyone was actually the religions. So as you saw at the beginning, we have Chalcedonian, but the religions elsewhere are quite different and meant to reflect how Europe was during the Dark Ages. So I wouldn't say historically accurate, since this isn't how Europe was in 1444, but it is historically accurate in terms of this is how Europe was during the Dark Ages. So to start, look at Iberia. In Iberia, we actually have the Reconquista is still not fully fleshed out, so Granada is a lot bigger. You have much more Muslim nations here. So you have Cordoba, you have Sevilla, you have Salamanca, and you have just these small Iberian kingdoms in the north, such as Asturias, Galicia, and Navarra. Going over to France, as you can see, there is no France. It's just Champagne, Toulouse, and Normandy, all these duchies here, and of course Burgundy, who is a lot further south than they are in the base game. Normally they are up here, but instead Burgundy is basically in the south part of Savoy. Going over to England, this is where things become really interesting. So of course we have Chalcedonian, but in England we actually have some different tags. We have Normandy, so we have one province here in Normandy. We have Wales, we have Cornwall existing as an independent nation, we have England, and we have Northumberland also being independent. And they are actually fighting England in something called the Stone War. So if anyone knows what the Stone War is, definitely let me know in the comments below. I've never heard of this. I don't even know if this is a real thing. The mod creator did say that there was certain lore for other nations that you need to join the Discord to read it all. So I haven't done that, but this might just be something that's part of the lore, so let me know in the comments. Of course, we have our beloved Scotland and the Isles. However, if you look at Ireland, everything looks pretty much the same. However, look at the religion religions. So we have Chalcedonian, of course, where they were normally Catholic, but in the north of Ireland, in Sligo, Tyrone, and Tyrconnell, and Donegal, these provinces are actually Norse, which is really cool. I love seeing Norse in the game. Norse actually technically exists in the EU4 base game. If you all didn't know, there's some very specific and finicky requirements that you can do to convert to Norse. However, I always love when mods include Norse paganism into their mod, as it makes the map much more dynamic. Of course, we have a Norse in Iceland too. And Denmark is actually Norse in the majority of the country. However, the rulers are Chalcedonian Christian. Going over real quick to the HRE. So I don't believe there are really any new tags in the HRE. Honestly, I don't know, because this is meant to be historically accurate, or rather historically accurate before the Age of Discard, before 1444. So I can't really say whether or not there are more or less tags in the HRE. However, I can tell you that Austria is not the emperor, it's actually East Francia who is the emperor, which is really cool. And it's actually a Carolingian who's on the throne, Carolingia. And the electors are somewhat similar, except we have Holland as an elector, so that's quite nice. Going over further east, you can actually see that Slavic paganism is still alive and well in Glogo and Lusitania, with both the Slavic and Sorbian peoples here, and I think this is modern-day Slovakia / Bohemia, so that's really cool. Going over to Russia, as you can see, it is Smolensk, but since the Great Schism never happened, they are the same religion as everyone else. They're all Chalcedonian, so there are Slavic paganisms left in Volhynia and stuff like that. There's some other Slavic provinces and some Sunni provinces, but one of the things that is really cool is there's actually Romuva. So I do believe that Romuvas were like basically some other kind of Slavic paganism, if I had to describe it, and they are still the state religion of Lithuania, which is really cool. This mod does a fantastic job with the religion, to be honest, and I love seeing mods like this, as I'm sure you guys have noticed already, that add a lot to the religions. Going to Scandinavia, we still have the lovely Norse Vikings in Norway. The Swedes, you do have some Norse provinces here in Sweden. However, the Swedes themselves are actually Chalcedonian, same as the Danish. Going to the very far north with the Sapmi, they are actually animist, which is really cool. And to the south, we have Finland, but Finland is actually Suomensko. And I actually did not know that Suomensko gave these things, so that is really nice. Minus 10% idea cost and minus 10% shock damage received from Suomensko. Romuva gives minus 5% tech cost, plus 10% average monarch lifespan. Average monarch lifespan is quite a rare modifier, so it's really nice to see a religion add this. And for Slavic, we get minus 50% cost advisors with ruler's culture. That is really OP. And plus 10% governing capacity modifier, a really cool religion. And for Norse, we get plus 10% land force limit and plus 10% naval force limit. Going over to North Africa, things are looking somewhat similar, but also very different. So you have Morocco, Marrakesh, our beloved Sussy nation, Tafilalt, Tlemcen. However, we have Africa instead of Tunis, who are actually Christian. They're actually Chalcedonian Christians. So that is really cool. If I was to start a campaign, honestly, I would go as Africa because it's really cool and they have some fantastic national ideas. So as you can see, for their traditions, they get plus 1 missionary and plus 3% missionary strength, which you desperately need since you're all surrounded by Muslims. And for your first idea, you get plus 10% infantry combat ability. So really cool nation. Let me know if you guys would like to see me play this nation at some point in the future, as I think this would be really cool, and this mod would definitely make any game that you're going to play super fun. And moving over to Italy, as you can see, we do have the Pope, and the Pope is still the Pope. There is the Holy See interaction, everything. The cardinals all work the same, except instead of Catholic, they are Chalcedonian and in full communion with the people of the East. In the north of Italy, it looks somewhat similar, except there is no Savoy, there's just Piedmont. Parma exists, Genoa exists, Milan exists, Venice is a lot smaller. Padua is free. Ferrara has 2 provinces, Bologna has 2 provinces, Florence is the same, Siena is the same, Perugia is there, the Papal States is a lot bigger. There is Naples, who only exists in 3 provinces, because they added more provinces. You have Aquileia, which was, I believe, that was the Norman kingdom that the Normans carved out for themselves in Naples. You have Sicily, who is a PU under Naples, and Africa actually owns a couple of provinces here. They actually own the island of Malta and this one right here, and they also own one here here in Sardinia. And of course, Sardinia and Genoa both exist. And of course, Sardinia exists in the, well, almost on the entire island of Sardinia under a PU under Naples. As you can see, going over to Egypt, Egypt is a lot bigger. They are actually under the Rashidun Caliphate and are pretty much the same size as the Mamluks. However, they're not going to be Circassian like the Sardi Mamluks. Instead, they are the Rashiduns, and they still have the same religion that they had in the base game, along with the Coptic and Jewish provinces in the south. Now, I don't know if anyone was able to spy this with their little eye. However, Jerusalem exists. Wonderful. That is another nation I would play as if I didn't play as Africa. I would definitely play as Jerusalem. Jerusalem exists in the historic lands of Jerusalem, with a majority of the province being Chalcedonian minus some of these Muslim ones here. Jerusalem actually starts with some fantastic ideas, extra missionary strength, and plus 15% morale of armies. That is, I think, one of the strongest in the game, if I had to mention. Wonderful military ideas and wonderful religious ideas. Oh, and there's a looks like a slight bug here with the Shafi schools. I don't know if you all can see this on the recording, the presence there, but anyway, this mod does have some glitches, but it is still really well done. So let's move on to something else. We also have Antioch. So Antioch exists as well alongside Jerusalem. I love these little nations like that add the flavor. Antioch is entirely Chalcedonian, all the land that they hold. Our beloved little starting nation called Cyprus also exists on the island of Cyprus, except they don't own the entire island. It's split between Ramazan and Cyprus itself. Now, I'm really not going to go over stuff in India or in Africa, as I really don't think hardly anything has changed. I don't really see much different in Africa. There might be some other nations here, but they're really not worth mentioning since the majority of the focus by the mod creator was in North Africa, Europe, and parts of Asia, mainly Anatolia and Persia. However, there is one thing worth mentioning over here, is that there's way more Zoroastrian provinces and way more Buddhist provinces here. So you actually have a Buddhist Timurids. I guess that was historically accurate. It's really interesting to see Buddhist Timurids. Let me know in the comments, were the Timurids, of course, on 1444, but were they at some point Buddhist? I didn't know that. Do let me know in the comments below, as I find that really interesting. And you all always have a lot to say about the historical accuracy, which I absolutely love because I don't know a lot about this, so definitely let me know. In India, there are some more Zoroastrian provinces. I think there's normally just one in one of these provinces here. I don't remember which one. However, in this mod, there are multiple here, so that's really cool. Going over here, there's just Confucian, Animist, some different Buddhist nations here. But one thing that I wanted to draw your attention to, and I think I just mentioned, was Buddhism in Persia and also more Zoroastrian. So you actually have Zoroastrian Persia and you have Zoroastrian Shirvan with this guy who has a super long name, which is really cool. I love Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism does exist in base game EU4, and I love when mods bring it out. It does add plus 10% trade efficiency, minus 2% local missionary strength, and plus 2 tolerance of the true faith for Zoroastrianism. Going over to Russia, we have the Golden Horde and Avaria, a much bigger Avaria. In base game 1444, the Avars are basically just located around here. Very, very small nation, but they are actually a full-fledged tribe in this mod. So I wanted to jump into a Byzantium game really quickly and show you what has been added, as the main focal point of this mod is, of course, the former holdings of the Roman Empire, so Byzantium, Rome, Africa, things like that, and Italy. So let me show you some of the things that the mod has added to your actual gameplay experience. So you can now educate your heir, and it basically loses you some mana and some money, but it improves the stats of your heir. At least that's how I understand it. You can look to see the education progress of your heir. This is very similar to the same kind of concept that they have in the expanded family of mods, so I assume it works somewhat similar, except instead of events, it's just an outright improvement of your heir's skills. You can, of course, form the Roman Empire, which I do believe is the same in the base game. You can get the SPQR achievement, do the rest of this stuff. However, one of the things that has been added to the game is actually some new national ideas, some new idea groups. So as you can see for the admin, we have specifically 2 new idea groups. In the admin, we have Imperial Ideas now, which give minus 10% core creation cost, minus 10% province war score cost, an extra colonist colonialism, plus 1 monarch admin skill, some extra splendor, monthly splendor, some extra absolutism, there's actually a lot of splendor, some extra administrative efficiency, and to finish it off, minus 100% unjustified demands. So you can basically take land for much less, even if you don't have a claim on it. And for the second new idea group, we actually have diplomatic ideas. So we have great power ideas, plus 1 diplomat, minus 25%, minus 20% envoy time, something called great power influence, diplomatic connections. This is protectorates, plus 1 prestige, but it actually is not finished. So this is one of the things that the mod is not finished with yet. Minus 10% AE impact, minus 25% in justified demands, minus 5% province war score costs, extra income from vassals, extra vassal force limit contribution, which is very OP, I might add, and some extra transfer trade acceptance. And to finish it off, plus 25 vassal acceptance. So this mod actually does change the national ideas for Byzantium as well as the nations I listed in the beginning of the video. So we actually have this one which gives extra siege. It's not named, it's just called siege weapons. It does not have an idea description. And Byzantium actually starts with this thing called the Western Rebellion. So do keep in mind that if you do play as Byzantium, you will have to fight all of these nations here under the Western Rebellion. So do keep that in mind. Overall, I would have to say that this mod does a fantastic job in what it has done. It is definitely not fully finished yet. However, adding all of these new things, adding the Chalcedonian branch, adding all of these new religions, or just improving upon the religions, adding Suomensko, adding Norse, making it historically accurate, just not 1444 historically accurate, really adds a lot. And I do think that this mod creator can definitely make this mod go a lot further. Do keep in mind that it was inspired by Antebellum. However, I do think that even though it was inspired by Antebellum, it does have its own original twist when it comes to the way the mod works and also just the lore behind it that comes from the mod dev. So let me know if you'd like me to kind of do a playthrough or something like this with this mod. Maybe not a playthrough, but just show you some of the things that are more in depth. I really just showed Byzantium because we have a limited amount of time and Byzantium is really what this mod creator has focused a majority of his time on. However, let me know if you want to see something a little bit more in depth in the future. I will have the mod linked down below in the description so you can go ahead and download it. Definitely check it out and leave a comment, a positive comment on the Steam Workshop for the mod creator that you enjoyed it so that they can keep updating it. This has been a mod review for the mod called Empires of Ruin in EU4. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and remember to subscribe to the channel as I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of April. But for now, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time.